Hello, my name is Anna Springer, and thank you for joining me for my presentation on the effects of the construction of the embankments along the Tiber River on the layout of the land and streets surrounding the present-day Critelli campus of John Cabot University in Rome. The Critelli campus is located at the intersection of the Lungotevere Raffaello Sanzio and Viale di Trastevere, in very close proximity to the Tiber River. As such, the construction of embankments and high walls along the Tiber, ordered by the city in 1875 in response to the river's tendency to flood, would have greatly affected the area which the Critelli building now occupies. This photograph from 1870 shows a view of the present-day Lungotevere dell'Anguillara, identifiable by the position of the bell tower of the Basilica di San Crisologo, seen here. The banks and walls of the Tiber, in this photo from 1870, compared to a view from present day, stresses how monumental the addition of these features would have been not only to the urban structure of the city, but to the people who lived and worked in the buildings which needed to be removed in order to construct the embankments and the Lungotevere. Two plans of the city of Rome, created in 1881 and 1889, are especially useful in visualizing this change to the layout of the area of Trastevere surrounding where the Critelli building now stands. In his collection of the maps of Rome, Amato Frutas takes care to note that both of these plans were created with a focus on the urban developments and infrastructure which took place after 1870, and in particular on the systemization of the city. The plan from 1881 reveals that the walls had not yet been constructed, but it includes a dotted line along the river's edge to indicate where they were planned to run. The map of Rome from 1889 reveals that the walls along the river and the Lungotevere were in place by that time, and by using landmarks such as the Isola Tiberina and the Ponte Garibaldi, the area of interest around the Critelli campus can be identified on both maps. A tracing of the locations of the Lungotevere and the Viale di Trastevere from the 1889 map, overlaid on the map from 1881, can prove to be very useful in understanding what would have changed in the layout of the area along the Tiber due to the construction of the embankments. Along present-day Lungotevere Raffaello Sanzio, land was built up or added, and along the Lungotevere dell'Anguillara, buildings must have been demolished in order to make room for the broad street running along the river. Using the intersection of these two main streets, the precise location of the Critelli building, where it now stands, can be determined. In order to facilitate future archival research on this topic, it was first necessary to determine the names of the streets as they would have existed in the late 1880s, when the work on the late 1800s, when the work on the Tiber was ordered. As the Catastro Urbano from 1824 is an accurate depiction of the city, which also includes the names of streets and piazze, it is an ideal resource for this task. However, it was issued 50 years prior to the period of interest, therefore it is necessary to compare it to Giovanni Murray's map from 1881 to ensure that the layout of the area had not changed. The red squares are an indication of the approximate location of the Critelli building, and a close comparison of the two images shows that the buildings in this area have not changed in shape or layout. So we see especially this very oddly shaped building is reflected on both maps. The Basilica di San Crisologo is down here, with a building coming out here, and an additional building here, which we see reflected. And then the buildings surrounding also this area and the Church of Santa Agata remain the same in both of the plans. Further confirmation of the street names found on the Catastro Urbano comes from an additional map created in 1881 by the Libreria Spitover, which confirms that the streets which ran nearby where the Critelli building now stands were the Via del Muro Nuovo and the Vicolo di Sant'Agata. In addition to these two streets, it should be noted that the Lungotevere dell'Anguillara was called the Lungotevere Cestio prior to 1886, and given that the date falls in the midst of the construction along the Tiber, both names could provide results when searching the archives. This archival search, perhaps at the Archivio Storico Capitolino for records related to these streets, is a crucial next step for research on this aspect of the Critelli project, as it may provide info on the land that was built up along the Lungotevere Sanzio and the buildings that were demolished along the Lungotevere dell'Anguillara. Additionally, a close study of the photograph of the Tiber from 1870 in comparison to the map from 1881 and potentially the model of Rome from the Musée du Plan Relief in Paris, if the next cohort can obtain detailed photographs of this area, could result in a more three-dimensional understanding of what it looked like before the Tiber walls were built. Thank you very much for your time.